Merkel Media.
What does the goddamn line say, Tony?
Please do not use gendered language.
Then what? I'll be arrested, put in airport jail?
Well, you're going completely sideways, man.
It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
How dare you?
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
I'm Chris Hansen with Dave on NBC.
Jack Marius Tack Theratrix.
Hi, I'm Spartacus.
Jackson, Sacramento, he, him. Steven Seagal.
Sex offender guy.
I'm Keith Morris.
This is Mumbai Gutafi.
I'm Rick James, bitch.
Sorting through the lies.
The hijacker's passport was found blocks from the World Trade Center crash site, if you can believe that.
We cannot track $2.3 trillion in transactions.
And uncovering the centuries-long plan for world domination.
Learning about Cuba, having some food.
Let's talk about Chinese people.
Have you ever been in a Turkish prison? Swangles and Fort Lauderdale?
I have sent 6 of my Libyan missiles to blow up the Sears hardware department.
Nothing could be more fun than jumping off a cliff with 2 German bisexuals.
Oh, you English are so superior, aren't you?
Thank you, comrade.
And now, macroaggressions.
That's what assholes call it.
With your host,
Buddy, I don't know who you are, but you're about to get chlamydia.
Charlie Robinson.
Hey, Whitey, where's your hat?
You want to drop the blame on Charlie and say it's all Charlie's fault.
He was a retard.
I get some goddamn diuretic.
Welcome to Macroaggressions. I'm your host, Charlie Robinson. If you are watching us on Iconic, Rockfin, Odyssey, probably not YouTube these days with as many strikes as I have, or you're listening wherever podcasts are served, thank you very much. We certainly do appreciate your time and effort. We know you've got a lot of options out there and that you decided to spend an hour with us. We appreciate it. We also appreciate the amazing help of our sponsor. C60 Purple Power has been fantastic. Ken Schwartz, the owner of the company, he's a mad scientist. What can I say? He was a nuclear physicist. He got out of that business because he was told, when looking for something to protect his body from the nuclear radiation he was working with, they said, you got to try this stuff C60. It's amazing. The guys that discovered it won the Nobel Prize for it. Check it out. So he did. He started taking it. It cured his macular degeneration. It made him feel so much better that he got out of the physics world and started this company called C60 Purple Power. What they're selling is amazing. It's a naturally occurring, C60 is a naturally occurring molecule. It's comprised of 60 carbon atoms. It forms something that looks kind of like a hollow soccer ball. It was theorized by Buckminster Fuller back in the 60s. They later wound up actually discovering it in the 80s, and the guys won the Nobel Prize. I mean, it's kind of a big deal. It is the most powerful antioxidant out there. It's hundreds of times more powerful than anything else on the market. And I encourage people to just go to the website, read a little bit about it, see if it's a good fit for you. And if you want to make a move on it, go for it. The promo code that you could use is macro. Save yourself a little bit of money. They have free shipping inside the continental United States. Their products are a little bit on the expensive side, but Ken sat in my house and explained to me the process of how they make it. And it sounded extremely complicated and probably expensive. So I'm going to take his word for it when he says that it's expensive to make, and that's why it's expensive to buy. So definitely use the promo code, save yourself some money. C60purplepower.com is the website. And speaking of great products that I am partaking of, Chemical Free Body has been amazing for us. Tim James, the owner, been on the show several times. He's all about health. He's all about removing chemicals. And on a side note, he understands what we're facing in this world with the insanity of government and the sheeple people out there. So he's doing everything he can to help you boost your energy and your immunity. He's got the Total Energy and Detox Bundle. It's as he describes it, it's a detox clinic in a box. So, and I've done it and it works. It works really well. In fact, it works so well. If you go to chemicalfreebody.com helium.com/macro. What you'll see is a little video that I recorded showing you the results that I had after 90 days. It's really worth it. It absolutely positively works. I can say that with 100% certainty. I've been using the product and I still am using the product. So go to chemicalfreebody.com, just like C60 Purple Power. Just read, just take a look. Just see if there's anything that jumps out at you. If there is, use the promo code MACRO to save yourself some money. Well, I'll tell you, we tend to sometimes get bogged down in the insanity of everything, and we forget to focus on solutions. Now, a couple of months ago, I was hanging out with the guys from Forbidden Knowledge News. That's Chris Matthew and Corey Hughes. They live not too far from me in Denver. I went over. I said, "What is that thing in the corner of your house?" And he said, "Oh, that's a helium miner." And I said, "Well, what does that do?" He says, "Oh, you've got here, I'll explain it all to you. I'll explain how it all works." After, when I got done with that, I went home. I immediately ordered it. He said, "Oh, the guy that you want to talk to about this is Peter Saddington. He's the guy, man. He's got the hookup for that." So it is my pleasure to welcome Peter here to the show. Peter, nice to meet you. And how are you doing?
Thanks so much, Charlie, for the opportunity. It's great to be able to be connected through two guys that have been actually, part of my network and part of my crypto community for years now. I love Corey, I love Chris, and so it's been great to be able to support them. And I'm looking forward to supporting you. So I am doing well, sir, and I look forward to our conversation.
Well, you are one of those guys that there aren't too many of you out there, but I think everybody either knows of a guy like you, or maybe they've read about somebody who is just best defined as a serial entrepreneur. Would you classify yourself as that?
Absolutely. I like to call myself a perennial entrepreneur, and I have my.
That sounds bad. Because when I say serial, you think the next word is killer, of course. Yeah, so let's say perennial. That sounds much better.
I like to call myself a perennial entrepreneur, and I also like to say that I work with the entre-pro-curious. So that's a term that I've coined and used in my third book. But I love helping the entre-pro-curious. Those are looking to create a hustle or have a side hustle or a side project become their main hustle. Those are looking to endeavor and self-improve themselves or their lives. And so this is something that I love doing. I love building applications, and I've built many over the last couple decades. I've been really fortunate and blessed to have a couple acquired, which allows me to spend time on the racetrack. But it is in my nature to build. And so that is primarily my main hobby. Is I just love building great applications and using my creative gifts for the world. So absolutely, I am a serial entrepreneur.
Well, I'm glad you are, because this was what I've been talking about to the people on the show, talking about this helium miner. It's this. I consider this. I don't consider this to be a home run. I consider this to be a single. And you know what? You hit enough singles, you'll get yourself into the Hall of Fame. If you're going to put a helium miner in your house and it's going to generate, let's just say, a couple $100 a month, and you don't have to think about it. You have an additional revenue stream. It is passive income, meaning requires nothing of you. But you guys have an interesting component to this as well, which is the ability or the option for somebody that has one of these to then spread the word to their network of people and say, "Hey, listen, I've got this helium miner, cost me nothing. I paid literally nothing for it. No taxes, no shipping and handling, $0. Came to my house. I plugged it in. I hooked it up, took 5 minutes. I started generating revenue for being a part of this helium network, and I do nothing. I think it worked for me. I put a couple $100 in my pocket every month. I think it'll work for you. And so I think it'll give people the opportunity to reach out to friends, family, coworkers, church groups, whoever their little network of people is. You can give them information on this, sign them up for it, and then you make an additional revenue on top of that. Is that correct?
You got it. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. What we are talking about is the Helium Miner, which goes along with the Helium cryptocurrency. Now, I don't want to have anyone shy away from that word. It's not as big of a deal as you think. And certainly for you as a user and as a host of a hotspot miner, you know how it works. right? And so you receive it for free. You start mining for free, or at least we'll be honest here. The electricity cost is a little bit less than an LED light bulb over the period of a month. So pretty much less than $1 per month or something like that. And you get to receive helium tokens as your gift or as your payback for helping support the network. And this network is an IoT, an Internet of Things network. One of the best ways of describing this is kind of futuristic looking, but I know that many of your audience have probably seen this in movies, is the interconnected home, right? When you wake up, the blinds automatically move, your coffee turns on, the heater turns on to the right temperature, and it tells you your days, your mobile device might tell you the day's, schedule for what you need to do. These types of home automation systems in the future are going to run off a network, an IoT or an Internet of Things network, where all your peripheral devices, whether it be your refrigerator, your cell phone, your TV, your toaster, right, your home alarm system, are all going to invariably be interconnected. And for most consumers out there, this is a really powerful home automation system that's going to be rolled out, especially as we grow into 5G and these types of things. And it's going to make our lives easier. So why not participate in helping scale that network and get rewarded for doing so? And that's the whole idea behind it.
Yeah. Yeah. And we have mixed feelings on Internet of Things stuff. And there's, on the one hand, there's the World Economic Forum, and where they have designs on this, and we all know that that's no good. But I have the house where I live, I have my garage doors connected to phone. Everything is, we've got like a mesh network here. So we're all interconnected all over the place anyway. So I've been incrementally getting into this smart home world, and it's great. Obviously, we stay a little bit cautious as to, we don't want Amazon Alexa like listening to us and things like that. But that's not what this is. This is about providing just coverage through, what is it? It's radio signal. So it connects to your Wi-Fi, but it's not Wi-Fi. Is that correct?
It's not Wi-Fi. It runs on a broadly used public broadband spectrum that is free and is free of radiation. So it's both free for the public use, and it's free of radiation for those maybe out in the Europe where they care a little bit more about that than us Americans. Right. But it doesn't have any listening devices. It doesn't have an operating system on it. It merely checks the network, sees whether you're connected, and rewards you for keeping that connectivity up and online. And so that's essentially it. So there's nothing that's tracking you. I know that this is a podcast, but the box is just a box. It's basically a Pi hardware, and it just runs in the background and runs off your Wi-Fi or your broadband, whether if you're going to plug it into an Ethernet cable. It doesn't take a lot of broadband at all. It won't interrupt your Netflix and chill sessions for anyone out there. It will essentially and truly be a passive income mechanism for you. That it's essentially a set and forget.
Yeah. That's I think that's important, because look, we're getting into a world where, everything's turned upside down, it seems, but we've got inflation costs going up. We're going to need something to offset this. Most people are, they've got their job. They don't want to take on a second job. If you have something that can step in and literally requires no effort on your part, it seems to me like it's kind of a no-brainer. I know that the people, my listeners are pretty smart. They understand what's going on in the world. They're going to see something like this. They're going to say, oh, this is free. It's going to generate revenue. I don't have to do anything with it. It's not going to harm me. Okay, fine. I'll take that. So for people, they'll just take that, like you said, set it and forget it, like the Ron Popeil thing, right? You just set it up. It starts doing its thing, and then you don't have to manage it. The only time you have to do anything, I guess, is if you want to invite people to be a part of it, and then that requires you getting their email address, and then is that it? Like just sending them?
I always like to say there's essentially 2 action points that you need to take after you've set it up and let it run. You either need to engage with it, just like you said, if you want to refer other people to the system. If you refer people and they get our product, which you can get at emrit.io, and you can get it for free from us, you'll earn 5% for the first 12 months of their earning. So that would be the number 1 action. The number 2 action you need to take is if you want to trade your tokens, your Helium tokens, for fiat. right, for money. And so those are the only two actions that you really need to take. For many people out there, they like to hodl or hold their tokens with the assertion that it will go up in value. And certainly we can talk about some of the token economics here if that is of interest for sure. But for many people, they use this as simply a device to offset or subsidize costs that they already incur. We've talked to so many different users who use this essentially for their $50 to $100 coffee bill. We've talked to people who use this to offset their Netflix, account and their Amazon account, and these types of things. And so for us Americans, it's a great way, and us in the first world country especially, for us, $100 USD might not be life-changing, but it certainly can help, especially in these tough economic times. For the rest of the world, 100 USD for 90% of the world is pretty significant money. And for 50% of that 90%, 100 USD per month is life changing. Yeah. And so I'm talking a little bit here about the purposes and the vision behind why we've done this. But that is in a real nutshell, that is why we have created this. We want to give access to the entire world, what we would consider probably the tip of the spear, a first experiment, a hypothesis of sorts around whether universal basic income, which is a loaded term, but track with me here, universal basic income is actually possible. Can we get our free hotspot miner into millions of people's hands, all over the world, which allows them, let's say if you're in third world countries like India or Africa or emerging economies in Eastern Europe, if we give them the device for free and they can make 100 USD per month, that literally changes the game for them. They no longer have to worry about hand to mouth. They can spend time with their families or with their kids, or spend that money creating a new side hustle. Or for me as an entrepreneur, what I get excited about is if they remove the hand to mouth considerations because they are making 100 USD a month, what are they going to create?
Yeah.
What are they going to build? How are they going to move society forward? Because there are so many, and I believe this to be true, and I'm certain you do as well, Charlie, is that there are hundreds of thousands, I don't know if I can say millions, but hundreds of thousands of entrepreneur-curious individuals who are dealing with the hand-to-mouth struggle and don't have margin to experiment or margin to build or create. I'm waiting for that, Charlie. I want stories to come to me and say, Peter, I'm in Bangalore, India, and I got your free hotspot. It's making me $100 USD per month, and man, because of that, I've been able to build this app or build this product or do this type of thing. And that's what excites me at the end of the day, and that's what keeps us motivated of our team of 60 here at Emrit to continue to build and support this wonderful, wonderful network, and invariably in our hopes, change people's lives.
Yeah, well, you guys have a big your founders, your co-founders are mostly Indian. Is that correct?
No, it's me.
Oh, just you?
Yeah.
Who are the other guys?
It's me and my co-founder Randall Pyers. So Randall Pyers, I'll tell you the story real quick. I'll give you guys a little bit of context. And so the original idea. So at the time, this was back in 2016, 17, 18 time period, Helium, the cryptocurrency company, was building miners. Mm-hmm. The problem is they're a cryptocurrency software company, and frankly, hardware is not their forte. Let's put it that way. And so what they did is they told the public, they said, hey, we're going to allow any vendor, third-party entity like us here at Emrit to build hardware to support the Helium network. We said, this is awesome. This is a great idea. And where we got this idea from was our first investor, Mr. Arul Morrigan, and his 11-year-old son. Now, his 11-year-old son used to go to tennis practice downtown Atlanta. And he used to ride his electric scooter. And for him, he was deep into crypto at the time, even as an 11-year-old boy. And he thought of this idea of what if we could track all these different scooters around Atlanta? Well, he was already invested and already had a Helium miner at the time. And so he said, why don't we scale this? Well, being an 11-year-old boy, he doesn't have the means or the wherewithal to really do it. And so for me, as a venture capitalist who was around Arul at the time, he pitched this to me and said, Peter, you're a venture capitalist. You can spend time being at home, doing Zoom calls like the one we're on right now, and deploying capital into young bloods who have great ideas. Or you could work your ass off for 20 hours a day and build another startup. And I said, I'm somewhat sadomasochistic and I love building. Why not? Why not choose choose the harder path. And so myself and my colleague Randall, we said, we can scale this. We can do this. And so in 17 months, and I think it's fascinating to be able to say that, in 17 months, we've grown a 30 million plus revenue company. And we were started just with 3 of us, and now we're over 60. And so it's been an amazing ride over the last 17, 18 months now. We've had amazing, just feedback and amazing support and amazing demand. Actually, demand isn't our problem. It's really supply at this particular point in time.
Yeah, I was going to say that the demand component is there. I mean, I know that I'm going to get, like, when we do, I'm going to have thousands of people sending me, emails saying, hook me up, hook me up. And I'm grateful to do it. Obviously, full disclosure, I will get a piece of this as well as somebody that is referring this. And I don't think anybody would have a problem with me doing that. But I think that the explanation that you bring, that explain what this is, how it works, people are going to understand it. They're going to get it right off the bat. There's no sales pitch needed, because there's no sales. There's no sale to it. It's free. It's the easiest sales pitch ever. Would you like something for free that's going to make you money? Oh, yes, please. So, but you talked about international growth and how a couple $100 a month is life changing in India, in Bangladesh, and places that have real problems with financial growth. And like you said, what could you be doing if the majority of your day wasn't dedicated to making just enough money to survive? What would you be doing? Well, you'd be doing something that you loved, and that may turn into something else. What is I know you guys are international. You're in it. At least 50,
over 50 countries.
Yeah. 50 countries, right? Okay, so where is this thing going? Because something tells me this is not just about helium coins or helium tokens, that this may be peer-to-peer banking, this may be peer-to-peer file sharing, or there's the implications for what you guys are building. This network are almost unbelievable where you're going. So what do you guys have planned?
Well, Charlie, you ain't wrong. And
yes, I love it when I ain't wrong.
You ain't wrong. And I think a little bit of context is important here, especially for your listeners, because this will help firm their grounding around why we're doing what we're doing. In 2017, Amir Halim, which is the CEO of the Helium project and the Helium cryptocurrency, he was at South by Southwest, and he did a talk that really, and I was able to listen to this because I'm an early investor in Helium 8 years ago. So I've been tracking this company for a long time. But he had a great talk at South by Southwest talking about disrupting the telecom industry. Now, for those in the cryptocurrency world, it's all about, let's get rid of the banks. Let's democratize finance and democratize banking and decentralize it all. But there's many other, let's just say, multi-headed control apparatuses around this, in this large, I'm going to use this word, octopus of control.
Oh, yes, we were familiar with that here.
Hat tip to you, my friend.
Thank you.
And one of those is the telecom industry, right? The telecom industry is absolutely centralized. They're absolutely mining all of our information. They're absolutely controlling us in so many ways, in terms of lack of optionality, lack of coverage. The plans are terrible. It's like I always like to look at the telecom industry now as what the TV industry was trying to do, and still trying to do now, which is trying to unbundle all the crap and all the bloatware. And so what he talked about in his 2017 talk was disrupting the telecom industry. Why isn't it that the people themselves can grow and scale and support the network themselves, instead of a telecom company getting all the return from all the stuff and all the data that they're getting from us? Why can't the people do it? And that really right there is the genesis of all of this, is can we give the people an opportunity to host their own wireless network? That's what it's all about. You can host your own wireless network and help create a grand global wireless network that is free, that software and applications can run off of. You don't have to worry about your ISP or your telecom company or LTE or any of that stuff. We have our own, that is supported by the people. And the rewards and motivation for supporting and helping grow this is you get rewarded in tokens that are transferable to fiat and dollars and yens and pounds and whatever country you live in. And I think that's really important for your audience to understand, is that this is an idea born out of disrupting the telecom industry. And right now, Helium is the largest and fastest growing wireless network on the planet. And we here at Emrit, we have the auspicious but we're very proud of this. We are the number one deployer of these hotspots, which we call cool spots, around the world, so that people can not only participate, begin earning. And so part of that is we want to make sure that everyone out there can get one of these hotspot miners for free. That's the goal. It's a $400, $350, $400 box that we send out to you for free. You get to earn money on it. And what we're building on the backside, which is absolutely to your point initially in this conversation, is that we want to add more services, financial services like banking, checking, savings, loans, because you have our device. We know what you're going to earn. We can collateralize that future earnings, and we can give you loans on top of your device. So think about this. This is really powerful. It might be a little too futuristic, but I think it's relatively close here, Charlie, is that there are going to be people, especially the unbanked, who will never actually go to a bank. And the reason is because they have my product. That product mints them $100 USD per month. They can create a checking account. They can create a savings account. They can get a $500 loan through us from the collateralized value that they have. And we can give you a Visa debit card to spend and automatically transfer those tokens to your home currency where you live. And so if you think about this, the future of the unbanked is actually kind of a misnomer. There might not actually be any traditional banks that people will want to engage with. I'm not saying that traditional banks will go away. I think they're going to be here for a long while.
No, we want them to go away. Tell us that they're going away.
They're going away. But I think the future is everyone will have their own personal money minting machine or miner of sorts. And there's going to be many permutations that will grow out of this, as we're kind of the tip of the spear right now. And people will be able to earn passive income at home and be able to have all the financial services they need, because they don't have to have all the credit checks. They don't have access to the financial services in the traditional form. And so they can certainly live a full life leveraging all the financial, the tools that they need, but they never actually have to go through all the rigmarole and all the nonsense of the traditional banking system. So that is a vision of the future that I would love to live out, help promote, and help grow within this wonderful world of entrepreneurs and ideas. I'm looking forward to that world where we're not relying on the centralized entities of banks and the centralized telecoms of sorts, but yet we're actually rolling our own and taking personal responsibility for our own lives by managing our own value and supporting a network that allows us to continue to grow and level up. So that's what it's all about, brother.
Wow. I trust you guys more with this plan than I would have Google, obviously. That small, nimble, hearts in the right place, big brain guys thinking about this stuff way out there. I'm really enthusiastic about it. And the people that are interested in getting these miners, this is the process. So what you do is just email me. When you email me, I'll obviously have your email address. I'll submit it to Peter's company. Then you'll get an email from them letting you know. So my email address, for those of you, the octopus of global control at protonmail.com. Yes, I realize this is going to blow up my inbox, but I'm fine with it. It's going to provide you guys with miners, which I really want you all to have. It's going to give me an additional revenue stream off of you that doesn't come out of your cut, people. It's separate. It comes out of my cut. It comes out of Peter's cut. Let's take it from Peter. Sorry, Peter. we're gonna blow this thing up. So I don't mind. Email me, the octopus of global control at protonmail.com, or go to the website, the octopus of global control, and people, you can find like a contact button there. Whatever. Just get me your email address in the subject line. Just put Helium Miner or something like that. I'll figure it out. And so, but speaking of helium, let's get onto this, because this is an interesting. So we've talked about crypto on this show. Obviously, I wrote a book with Jeff Berwick, who runs the crypto vigilante. When it comes to that stuff, I defer to him. He has much more of a background in that. I know just enough to be dangerous with it, but talk about Helium and like why this is why it's a good coin, why it's a good network. What's the sort of the background of this? Not that people need to actually even love Helium, because you can immediately, I mean, once you get it, you can convert it into whatever you want, but you're going to be paid in it. So I think it's worth knowing a little bit more about the Helium coin, the Helium network, and why that's a viable option for everybody.
Absolutely. I think there are three things that I think are very powerful for a foundational understanding of why Helium now and why Helium in the future. Number one, they've been around for 8 years. 8 years in the cryptocurrency world.
Like a million years.
It's like a million years. They've, and here's what you need to think. They've survived.
Yeah,
right? And
that's
so,
true.
My company, Emrit, we were early investors. We, as venture capitalists, we don't mind taking other people's money, but investing in highly risky, highly rewarding projects. And Helium was one of those ones that we've invested in way back in the day. And so 8 years in this world, they've survived the ups and downs, the highs and lows. They've survived the incumbents that have gone kaput, and the scams that have come and gone. And they really have a solid team of engineers as well as operators that know how to scale this cryptocurrency to the world. So that's the first thing that you need to understand. They've been around for almost a decade now, and their project is solid. Number two, they're the only company in the cryptocurrency world and blockchain world that is taking on the telecom industry. And you can find this and you can Google it. Helium is the fastest growing wireless network on the planet. And so it is growing like weeds. And the reason it is because people are understanding it. You get a miner, you earn more value out of the token than you paid, or if you get it through Charlie, you'll get it through us, which is for free, and you'll get to earn it for free. And so this is a company with a project that has reached a tipping point. And I'm sure you've read books that maybe even the tipping point.
I've read tipping point. Yeah.
So you understand this, is that it's already reached a market saturation level where it cannot be uninvented. It cannot be taken away. And for me as a venture capitalist and investor, that is absolutely crucial because there has now entrenchment. And not only with that entrenchment, there have been major partnerships with large companies, IoT companies, device manufacturing companies, big blue chip companies that are now taking notice and also partnering with them because this is something that is disrupting their world, right? It's taking a market share of what they're doing. And so there's a lot of interest. The third thing that you need to know about Helium is it is a secure token. And this is one of those tokens that has been leveraged, again, almost 8 years now. It's been run through the mill. It has a great tokenomics system. You don't need to know what that means, but essentially it means that you are able to earn more value than you put into it, which is an amazing anti-thermodynamics idea that you get something and you can earn more from it. And so with this Helium token, it's one of those things that's completely safe. You use it through a mobile device and a mobile app. And so you can access your funds, you can transfer them easily, you can off-ramp them to fiat options, which is going to be even easier in the future. And there really needs to be no super granular education on any consumer's part. It's merely, hey, you know what? It's an opportunity to run an experiment. If I get it through Charlie, I get it for free. Why not?
Right.
And if I don't like it, I can return it. Trust me, you won't want to return it because you're earning free money. But it's one of those truly, I think I was talking with an investor, Charlie, a couple months ago, and he said, one of the things that that convinced him to invest in us is that we're not a software company only, because there's so many projects out there that are just software and you don't know if it's vaporware. You don't know if it's going to go away tomorrow. You don't know if they're just going to pull the plug or someone's going to fork or copy the code and then create a new, a market entry into the world. The fact of the matter is we've had to upfront tens of millions of dollars in hardware so that we can give this out to the world. There's such an entrenchment here that we've already created and such momentum that we've already created that this really is a safe bet, because we're sending out, if you get it through Charlie here, we're sending you a $350, $400 device for free. And if you throw it away, it's our loss. So we are at the biggest risk of loss here. But our goal is that we believe that the world of crypto, the world of individuals who are looking for passive income are willing to take the chance with us and try it out. And I promise anyone out there who tries it out, you'll enjoy it. It's easy to set up. And once you start earning a couple tokens here and there that I think are currently worth about $12, $14 a token, it's not a bad deal.
Yeah. And it's, look, I'll tell you, it's easy to set up. Oh, by the way, I need to tell you this, Peter, since I'm somebody that owns a company as well. You always like to get feedback. The guy that calls and helps you set up your miner is phenomenal. He walked me through the process, and because I'm a bit tech phobic in the sense that I'm afraid I'm going to break something. I'm afraid I'm going to do it wrong and everything. So I always have a bit of anxiety. I'm like, oh, this miner's here. Great. I'm excited it's here, but I've got to set it up. What if it doesn't set up? That guy actually, you know what? Before I even had a chance to get it out of the box, he called me and said, I saw it was delivered. I'm going to walk you through it. I was like, oh, I guess I better open it up. Right. I mean, I got it an hour and a half earlier, and the guy was already on the phone. Let me walk you through. So we set it up in 5 minutes. And so if my dumbass can get it figured out, then I think anybody can. So if you're having some anxiety about, or about asking for one of these miners because you're worried about the technical side of it, don't worry about it. I can tell you from firsthand experience, the guy just calls you up and he walks you through it. It's super easy.
Well, I really appreciate that. Apparently our customer service is working well. So that's good.
Very well. And on top of that, I got a phone call the next day from him saying, everything's still going fine. And I said, yes, it is. Thanks for the call. So I don't know that he knew I was going to be speaking to you, but just so you know, he's doing a great job. So
I know who we have over 30 customer support reps, and so I don't know if I know who it is, but I'm sure they're doing a great job.
You've got an enthusiastic one. Well, let's talk about crypto in general then, because it's been a topic for a lot of people, especially in 2021, because we've got, Bitcoin did its thing at the tail end of 2020. I've been speaking at an Acapulco and these dollar vigilantes conferences. So I've met a bunch of these guys, and I've tried to listen and understand what they're going through. But admittedly, I'm a bit late to the party. I've just been kind of an observer until probably the tail end of 2020 when I wrote. And of course, Berwick's telling me you need to get in. I'm like, I hear you, man. I hear you.
He would. Yeah.
He would. He's like, I got in at $3. What are you in? You get Bitcoin at the price that you deserve to pay for it. I'm like, oh, shut up. So where are we going with this? We saw it spike big after 2020, when we had 40% of all the dollars in existence created during 2020. I think that's a reasonable decision for people to say, I see hyperinflation potentially on the horizon. I'm going to get into something that has a deflationary component to it, or at least it's not an inflationary infinite supply with Bitcoin. That makes sense to me. I understand that. We see the price run up. What do you think? What is happening in the cryptocurrency market? Is this just early jitters where you're going to have wild fluctuations and then things are going to settle down, or where's this thing going to head?
Man, what a great question. Now, I think it's important to level set some context. So I've been into Bitcoin and cryptocurrency for over a decade now. So I've actually talked to Jeff Berwick multiple times. Great guy. When I was doing more YouTube videos around the 2016, 17, and 18 time period. But I actually got him beat because I got into Bitcoin in 2011 when it was $2.52.
Oh, you got him beat. He was in at $3. So yay.
Got him beat. And I remember actually we ended up talking about that at one time, I believe. But so I'm highly biased. So for all your listeners out there, I am an entrepreneur and operator and investor in this space for the last decade. So not only am I highly biased, but I'm highly entrenched within it. And I have a lot of personal motivations and personal reasons to stay in it. But I'll give you what I believe to be is a very powerful idea that I think a lot of your listeners can benefit from, is that let's just talk about Bitcoin. Forget all the other cryptocurrencies for a second. Bitcoin is the only asset, and I think this is actually really important. It's the only asset on the planet that has grown to this scale and has the security, an absolute bulletproof security that is unhackable, unchangeable. And we know that the last Bitcoin is going to be mined in 2140 or around that time. So we know the total amount, 21 million total. This is important. There's a common misnomer, and I think it's really a poor misnomer, that Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency. Bitcoin is not a cryptocurrency. Bitcoin is a crypto asset. And we know this to be true because in 2014, the IRS deemed Bitcoin as property, which means it's taxed at a property level, which means every time you transfer it, it implies capital gains implications. And so it cannot be used as a currency. And so I think it's important for your listeners, especially since you've said it multiple times here, that your listeners are intelligent, they're smart, they're savvy, they understand kind of what's going on with the metaverse of this world of sorts. And I think they would appreciate the fact that I'm bifurcating the difference between cryptocurrency and crypto asset. Yes. Bitcoin is the only crypto asset class out there that is worth investing. Everything else is what I call a cryptocurrency or a crypto hypothesis. It's just a project. None of them have proven the security of Bitcoin, and most of them can be used for currency, but Bitcoin was not. And so let's talk about that. You asked the question, where's Bitcoin going? It's all these fluctuations. Yeah. Bitcoin is, and I'm highly biased, is the only asset class that you should really invest in. You should also diversify into real estate and other things if you'd like. But Bitcoin is, in my opinion, so this is just Peter Saddington's idea, not financial advice. I believe Bitcoin will become the meta index asset for all other assets in the future. Why? It's unbreakable. It's unchangeable. It's thermodynamically secure. We know the total, and we know that when it's the last of Bitcoin is going to be mined. Because of this, this is the only known asset class in the world where we can truly take an accounting of all of it. So in the future, Bitcoin will become, I'd put $1 million on it. Bitcoin will become the meta index asset in which gold, silver, precious metals, real estate, vanity investments like boats and cars and stuff, they're all going to be weighed against Bitcoin. So you want to have a piece of this asset. This is the only asset class that is easily transferable. You got real estate. I'm in Georgia, right? You got real estate, and I'm getting hyped now because I'm passionate about this stuff. But you got real estate in Atlanta, and the mayor wants to tax you more. Good luck getting that real estate moved. You can't. Trying to get out of it and sell it, you're going to lose a lot, right? But with Bitcoin, if you want to tax my Bitcoin more in Atlanta, shoot, I'll just move it to Wyoming, right? It's the only asset class that cannot be taken from you, right? Even by gunpoint, right? If you got it on your phone, they can kill you, but they're not going to get your asset. And so Bitcoin is the meta index asset of the future that I believe that everyone should own. And not financial advice, but I don't mind saying it because I'm this confident. Bitcoin's going to become $1 million. $5 million, maybe even $20 million a coin in my lifetime. And I'm almost 40. So, or I'm about 40. So add 40 years, I'll be 80 or so. I can totally see Bitcoin hitting $20 million a coin. So, man, now is the time to get in. You will not be disappointed that you bought it at 32 grand or 50 grand when it's sitting at $1 million, $2 million, $5 million plus. So there's my little spiel. I'm very confident of it. And you might have talked to other people that are confident about it in different ways. But I believe that that Bitcoin will become the meta index asset, and it will be the asset of choice that you'll want to be a part of. And in many cases, it can set up the future for your kids, because for it to be the meta index asset for all other assets to be weighed against in terms of valuation, it's got to go up to over $1 trillion a coin. And so if you consider this for your future generations, your kids' kids could literally live off the investment of the couple of Bitcoins that you got now for the rest of their lives, because everything else will be worth less, right?
Yeah. Well, I've heard people talk about the future valuation of Bitcoin, and they explain it in a way, like I've had Stephen Cole on our group show, and he's talked about, he said, there will come a time when you can't measure Bitcoin in terms of dollars because no one will take dollars for it. It'll be like one Bitcoin equals 8 Lamborghinis or 2 boats or whatever. So you won't be comparing it in dollars. You'll be comparing it assets to assets. Is that how you sort of envision this in the future?
Oh, I can see that there will invariably be a dollar accounting of value to Bitcoin, right? You're gonna have to, at some way, be able to reach the layman and in some terminologies that make sense. So I think there will be it is reasonable to believe that at some point, when Bitcoin's worth a ton, is that they'll have to say it's worth 1.5 billion a coin or something like that. But I would also agree with your colleagues' approach, is that it's mostly going to be weighed against other assets, right? I mean, banks are buying up Bitcoin. There's a reason for doing this, because it's deflationary. It's only incurring value over time. And as the demand increases and the supply is constrained because our people are picking it up, the valuation of it will only go up. It is the first programmatic money in the world that you can completely and truly own as a sovereign individual. And I think Bitcoin, and if I get to the philosophical side of this, I think Bitcoin is the solution to true financial sovereignty around the world, especially for the unbanked or people that are constrained by bankings and having to deal with banks and credit cards and all that stuff. This is the only asset that no one can take from you, that you truly own it. The only downside to that is most people who move into cryptocurrency, they inherit their dysfunctional and bad security habits, and they apply it to Bitcoin. The problem is with Bitcoin, it is your value. If you lose it, that's on you. You can't go to a bank and say, "Oh, give me my Bitcoin back." As Andreas Antonopoulos likes to say, right? Not your keys, not your Bitcoin. And so for all of those out there that are getting into cryptocurrency, definitely make sure that your security is better, is you're more secure. You have backup mechanisms. You're changing your passwords, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, to make sure that you're truly owning and taking full responsibility of that value.
Yeah. It's something all of us that are new to the game, there's a learning curve, and then that there's scammers out there, and then you almost don't know really who to trust or who to turn to for information. But I feel that you have a deep understanding of this. What were your other startups that you did? Were they in the crypto space?
Nope. My first startup was a software development company, mostly a consultancy, but we built some products for teams. So essentially helping teams work together. If you know Slack or Discord, we were building something like that early in the early 2000s of sorts. And so that was my first acquisition. And then my second company that I built was a meta cryptocurrency exchange in the crypto world, venture funded, of course. And so I've pivoted a lot in terms of my startups, wherever I find an interest in. Yeah. So I'll put it this way. Charlie, I'm the type of guy who finds something that's like bleeding edge, cutting edge technology. So cryptocurrency was that for me back in October of 2011. I spent like 30 days just consuming as much as I possibly could. I think I lost 5, 7, 10 pounds, just absolutely enamored by this technology. And the reason was because I read an Ars Technica article in 2011, October, and it told me about this technology stack that had lost value. Now, for me as a technologist and, engineer who writes in Java, C#, C++, right, PHP, HTML, for me, I could not conceive or fully understand how a technology stack like HTML can lose value. It didn't register with me. Mm-hmm. And the more that I dug into it, I learned about the code behind Bitcoin. I learned about this idea of programmable money, that it cannot be shut off, it cannot be uninvented, and it cannot be taken away. And one of the first analogies that I made was Tim Berners-Lee, who created the internet in 1992, 1993. He's the one who created this protocol called the internet that is constantly expanding all over the world and reaching everyone. Bitcoin is a protocol. It's code and protocol, and it cannot be uninvented, and it will continue to scale to every aspect and every facet in every corner of the globe. And that in November of 2011 is when I bought my first Bitcoin, and I was fully convinced that this is what I needed to spend my life doing. And so in 2017, I invested my first in the Bitcoin, but it was only till 2016, 17 that I said, you know what? this is where I need to be. This is where I need to play. This is the culmination of finance, deep and bleeding edge technology and entrepreneurship. And so I've dedicated the last 5.5, 6 years now of my life to this world. And I love it. I love it. I love the community. I love the entrepreneurship, the innovation that's happening here, as well as, let's be honest, we are now living in a world with programmable money where I can make money on money, Charlie. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Well, I wonder though, the banks must not like you guys too much. What you guys are creating a bit. When I say you guys, I mean that just the idea, the crypto community is creating, a bit of panic for the banks. You have Jamie Dimon coming out and saying anybody that buys crypto is an idiot and I'll fire them and everything. And now they're in the city now is opened up a crypto trading component or for their high net worth individuals. So Jamie Dimon's a pathological liar. I think we all understand that. But you guys, obviously, look, anybody that makes the banks nervous is my ally. So as far as I'm concerned, that's great. Cryptocurrency versus the banking system. Who wins in this over time?
Well, I certainly I don't want to be on any, let's just say, Clinton list.
Right. Yes,
you know what I mean.
You can talk in generalities here.
Yes. But I will say this. I think one of the best quotes to when you're thinking about the banking industry is don't worry about what they say, look at what they do. And the banking industry is, I think they talk a good game. I think they're very good at the fear mongering and leveraging the mainstream media for fear, which is essentially the entire purpose of the mainstream media since the Mockingbird got in of sorts. But they leverage that mechanism very well. Here's the problem. It is different from what they actually do. What they're actually doing is they're investigating deeply into this programmable money. They're investigating deeply into looking in services and products around cryptocurrency because it is a money generating machine. And in many cases, it's one of the best ways to transfer quickly, efficiently, and cheaply lots and lots and lots of money. So it would be a bad thing, to be frank, if the banks did not get into the game because it affects their bottom line. Now, I'm just looking at it from a bank's perspective, not that I care if they survive or not. But if I was a bank, I would want to look into this because it's a cheaper way of moving lots and lots of money. Now, what we're going to find is the way that I see it playing out in the next 15, 20 years or so is that the traditional banking world will always be there. They're so ingrained as part of our society, unfortunately. And there's so many aspects to our political system, our media system, our entertainment system, our sports system. It's all interconnected into this octopus of control with the banks at the center of it. And so I don't see the banks ever going away. What I do see is the banks bringing regulation into the cryptocurrency world, which makes a lot of sense. I actually welcome it. And the reason is because it legitimizes the usage of these tokens as store of values, utility, or what we call work tokens, or securities. And what the banking system is going to do effectively well with all their other financial models is they're going to create abstractions of cryptocurrency like they do with our money now. When you buy gold, you don't buy gold. You buy a pink slip to an ETF of some sort of, vaporous ghost that's out there of gold, and you kind of sort of own it. And so that they're going to do the same things. We're going to see ETFs. We're going to see ETCs. We're going to see different vehicles and sidecars and different mechanisms for them to invest even more deeply into this system. But where it concerns us as the retail investor. So let's bring it back. Well, Peter, what's the value to me as a listener here? The value is get in the game, get educated, find projects that are worth investing in. We now live in a democratized world where you can now directly invest. Screw the stock market. Screw, all the provisions and licensing and making sure that you're an accredited investor. No. You can now invest in high-tech projects at a fraction of a dollar. And some of those are going to be great. Some of them are going to be crappy, but you're going to learn a ton. But don't forget to invest in the core, which is Bitcoin. And so I think this is a Bitcoin and cryptocurrency when it comes to the banks and in the retail context is for us retail investors. Man, what a great time to be alive to learn about this new programmable money that just came out a decade ago, in which you can participate actively with people who are building bleeding edge tech and building new consumer products. And yeah, there's the funny ones like the crypto kitties and the games and stuff like that. But there's serious industrial applications that are happening right now within the cryptocurrency world. And if you want to make some money, there's so many different ways to invest, get involved, participate, or mine for free. Yep. And so I always look at the positive side when it comes to banking and crypto. There's going to have to be some interplay, but at the end of the day, as a retail investor, get educated, get in the game, throw, $1,000 at it, spread out around some coins or something like that. And you'll begin to learn. And the more that you learn, the more that you get educated, the more that you'll find opportunities for your personality to shine, and for the way that you want to earn money will reveal itself to you. Not everyone's going to be a day trader. Not everyone's just going to be a hodler, a holder for long term. You're going to find projects that are going to intrigue you. And hopefully, if anything, it'll intrigue you to a point of action where you say, you know what, I can throw them $500. Maybe I'll make some back. And something like that. So I see cryptocurrency as a massive human experiment where we can benefit greatly, especially if we're actively participating. So the only downside is if you don't participate, you can't win. So participate and get in the game.
That's good advice. I'll tell you what, let's wrap up with this one question. And this is the real question.
We wrapping up already?
This is the question we've been waiting for the whole time. I want to know about the race cars. Okay. I want to talk about the race cars for a second here. I have seen on Twitter you've got you tell us about the race cars. You've got one of those addictions that I just could totally get into.
You're once again, Charlie, you're not wrong. Your diligence has proved very vital to your success here. I am a generational part of a generational lineage of race car drivers. So I drove Radical SR3, which is a downforce car. You can see it at the top of my Twitter account. I've driven a Lamborghini Super Trofeo, driven a lot of different race cars. It's in the blood. I always like to say it's actually a genetic disorder of getting into cars. My dad was into it. My earliest memories are working on cars, breaking stuff down, doing all that. And I have an 8-year-old son who some people might find this weird, but it's his full-time job. We've pulled him out of school because we don't believe in that system anymore anyway. We homeschool him. Nice. And he is on the simulator every day, and he's on the track 3 times a week with coaching and teams. And so he literally wants to become a race car driver in the future, and I'm doing everything that I can to ensure that he gets there. So that's a little bit of a preamble. But yes, love cars. I had my 15 minutes of fame. You probably found that out as well. When I bought the world's first Lamborghini Huracan with Bitcoin in 2017, there was 300 million views worldwide. I was on CNBC, Yahoo Finance, Maxim, Popular Mechanics. It was a great way to show that this Bitcoin asset can truly be traded for other assets like Lamborghinis. And so I've always loved going fast. I don't mind using cars as a marketing gimmick to bring eyeballs to the work in the venture funded companies that I build. It's one of the, I could talk about cars forever.
I know.
It's the love of my life.
I know. It's so cool. It's great to have that balance too. It's the work hard, play hard thing. I love, you're as passionate about the cars as you are about crypto. And I knew this was going to be great because whenever I would see you doing interviews, I'm like, this is the most enthusiastic, happiest guy I've ever seen out there. If I could have him come on and explain how this all works to people, I feel like he could do a really good job. Peter, tell people where they can find you, where they can connect with you and follow you and get involved in the things that you're up to.
Well, first and foremost, everyone out there, thanks so much, Charlie, for the opportunity. If you want to get a miner, you need to hit up Charlie Robinson. So he posted his email. Make sure that you check that out. Other than that, the best place to figure out what I'm doing is on Twitter, and you can follow me at Agile Peter, AGILE Peter. So at Agile Peter on Twitter, you can find out all the links to other things that I'm into, but that's the most public and best place to connect with me.
That's Peter Saddington, everybody. He's the co-founder of Emrit. He's a really good guy. He'll take you for a ride in his Lamborghini if you ask him really nicely. If you want the Helium Miner, my address, the Octopus of Global Control at protonmail.com, or you can go to the website, the Octopus of Global Control, and there's a contact us button, and you can send it out there. I'll do what I can. I'll submit you, and you'll get an email from Peter's company, and they'll set you all up, and let's get going on this. Peter, thank you so much for everything. And for those of you that are interested in this, take this episode and share it with your friends and family. It's the only way we're going to get this information out there. Thanks, everybody. Take care, and I will talk to you soon.